Greetings and welcome to all the educators out there. I just want to take a moment to start by saying Happy Teacher Appreciation Week to all of the wonderful, intentional educators. You are truly appreciated, and I say this on behalf of all of the students that you've been working with and teaching remotely. I say it on behalf of all of the administration that you've been working with and everyone who has been doing all that they can to support students during this time. I know that I definitely appreciate you. I appreciate the educators that I work closely with, and I appreciate all educators far and wide. So happy Teacher Appreciation Week. So if you're here viewing this or listening to this right now, I just want to thank you for being here. Thank you for sharing this time with me and for joining in this series. So just a little background on what I'm doing. Every year, I host a mindfulness March series. So where I work in my face-to-face building, I would just get a few teachers, whoever agrees to come, to engage in a Mindfulness Monday series. So in the month of March, we would get together on Monday mornings. I would present a brief sort of mini workshop on mindfulness, and then we would do a very short meditation, and then we would go on about our day. So this March kind of got away from us, and then with everything that happened with the virus after that, it was definitely a wrap. So I said to myself, you know what, I don't want to let this year pass without doing the series, so I'll wait for May. So I thought we may be back in our buildings by then. However, we aren't, and now everyone knows that we probably will not be for quite some time. So I'm going to just record the session and just share it with you online. My hope is that we would go through the sessions whenever you have time, and that at the end of the month, we'll do a live conference where we can all just come together and share our experience with it. So what I want to do for today, and probably what I will do for the rest of the series, is to record it, say hi first, and then I'll go off camera and then just share my screen. So if you are watching and you'd like to just see the screen as you listen, you can do that. However, I'll make sure to just simply state everything that needs to be stated so that if you are not able to view the video portion, that you can still hear and take part in the session and the series. So let's go ahead and get started. I am going to share my screen. Give me a moment to do that. This might be a bit clunkier than being in person, but as educators, you know that one of the things that we have to be is flexible and willing to adapt to situations. So again, welcome. Thank you for being here. My intention is to keep these series sessions very short so that you can participate, listen, but not take up too much of your time. So let's go ahead and jump in. So the session is mindfulness for intentional educators. And if we were live, I would take a few minutes to actually hear from you all and to see what you would say in response to these questions. But I want you to just think about them now. And you know, if you are viewing, watching, listening with someone, you might share your responses with them. If not, feel free to email me, because I really am interested to hear from you, and I would love to hear your responses to these questions. And the questions are, how are you taking care of yourself today? What are you doing to address your own self-care? And then the second question is, what's giving you hope right now? So those questions are intentional, and I hate to overuse that word, but they are, because I really would love you to focus on taking care of yourself. At the top of the session, I wished all the educators a happy Teacher Appreciation Week. I want to know, how are you appreciating yourself this week? How have you been appreciating yourself over the time that we've been on remote instruction, stay home orders, whatever you're calling it? I called it cocooning in my last blog post. How are you taking care of yourself? And then as we look towards the future, what is giving you hope? What is keeping you bolstered and encouraged during this time? Those are the things that we need to share. So think about that answer it, ask someone later on today, email me your responses. I would love to hear from you. So today we want to focus on, for the session, for all of the sessions and the over the course of the time that we'll be convening every Monday, the idea is to think about this in terms of self-care for caregivers. So we are caregivers. We know that. I don't have to belabor that point. Our students, our staff, depending on your position, they depend on us. We give a lot out. We expend a lot of ourselves all day long, especially without the borders and the boundaries now of a face-to-face building. We are constantly giving out, and we want to think of how are we giving back to ourselves. So one of the ways we can do that is with the practice of mindfulness. So I'm going to start this session the way I always start all of the sessions every month, which is just from the beginning. I think it's always good, no matter where you are in your knowledge and practice of mindfulness, it's always good to start at the beginning of anything that we are trying to learn. Obtaining and maintaining a beginner's mind allows us to stay open to any new insights that we may have that perhaps we may not have had if we went into it with the expert mind or a more advanced understanding. We think, oh, I already know all about this, so now let's get on with it. But if we always start at the beginning, we're always open to learning much more. So that's what we're going to do. We'll also explore why now? Why now? I think that's also another point that might go without saying. Why not now could be the answer. I think this is a great time to really explore a lot of what is happening now through the lens of mindfulness, because we have the opportunity to really take the time to look at not only what's happening on the outside, but to also take the time to think about what's happening within ourselves. We know that this situation has been producing a lot of stress, not only for our students, but also for us as educators. Most times we're in positions where a lot of people rely on us. We tend to be the people who others rely on, who others look to for support. Given the situation, that puts that on hyper drive. So we may be experiencing a lot more stress, a lot more anxiety, a lot more tension and pressure than normal circumstances for educators, which is a lot. So this is a good time for us to think about how are we, again, to reiterate, how are we taking care of ourselves during this time? Today, in this brief session, we're just going to review quickly a definition of mindfulness. I'm going to share the theory for this session. Each session will have a little theory, and then the practice for the week. So the way it works is that at the beginning of the week, every Monday, when we go through the series, at the end of it, I will share with you the practice that we are going to engage in for the week until we meet again on next Monday. So that will be how we will go through it, and that's what we'll do today. So let's start by first just thinking about mindfulness. Again, I said that depending on where you are in your knowledge and practice, you may have some idea of mindfulness already, or you may not. Either way, just bring to mind whatever that may be. If you have experience with mindfulness, your picture of it would be different than someone who doesn't. Most people who think about mindfulness, when they hear the word, they think about monastic life. They envision someone sitting either in a yoga asana or someone living up in a cave somewhere in a hermit lifestyle, that they have little interaction with other people, and they're sort of just living a remote life, so to speak. However, that's not the idea of mindfulness that we need to have. We want to embrace its truest meaning, and want to also be able to apply it in the life that we lead, because I'm sure many of you, if any of you, are living up in a remote cave in a mountain somewhere where you have little interaction with other people. We live in a world with others, and we need to be able to apply mindfulness in our lives in those situations. So mindfulness is very popular. I remember when I started as a practitioner many years ago. Now it was not as popular. It was sort of it was on the fringe. It was sort of on the fringes of things. If you were into mindfulness, it meant that you weren't a part of the majority. You were definitely in the minority, maybe kind of considered a little bit weird, off the beaten path, and so forth. However, and thankfully, that has changed over the years. In fact, mindfulness has become so popular that it's almost the word is almost becoming cliche in its usage, as in everyone is using it. It's everywhere you turn. So many magazines are talking about it. So many people are talking about it and talking about it in various contexts. That is awesome. I love to see when that happens with theory that then becomes very popular, that many people now have much more access to it. One of the downsides with that is that it often gets watered down and the true essence is lost somewhere in the translation. So I would like to take a little time to bring it back to its core. The beauty of it being popular is that at least a lot more people are aware of it. So what is mindfulness? I'd like to share a couple of definitions with you because they each sort of touch upon a little different nuance. Mindfulness is the quality or state of being conscious or aware. It is also a state that is achieved by focusing one's awareness on the present moment while calmly acknowledging and accepting one's feelings, thoughts, and bodily sensations without ascribing judgment. The next definition I want to share is this one. Mindfulness is the ability to be fully present, fully aware of where we are, what we're doing, and not overly reactive or overwhelmed by what is going on around us. This is the definition that I happen to love the most. So I'll share it one more time. Mindfulness is the ability to be fully present, to be fully aware of where we are, what we're doing, and not overly reactive or overwhelmed by what's going on around us. I think that to embrace that definition and to be able to apply it is the core of mindfulness, and that's what I would like to focus on, and what I would like you to focus on for today and for our series as we move forward. So if that's what mindfulness is, it would be helpful to take a look at what it's not. So mindfulness is not a religion. Sometimes people think, again, it goes back to whatever associations they may have with mindfulness. They think of Buddhism because it is rooted in Buddhism, but it's not Buddhism. In fact, there are elements of mindfulness spoken about in every major religion, which means that it's not any religion. It's a practice. It's a way of thinking and being. It's not a religion. So even if you are a person of faith, which I am also, you can still practice mindfulness and it will not be in conflict with your religion at all. You can be of no particular religion and you can practice mindfulness and it will still benefit you. Mindfulness is not a way of changing thoughts. There are many practices that actually help you to change the thoughts that you have, but mindfulness is not one of them. Mindfulness simply makes you aware of the thoughts that you are having. Mindfulness is not easy. It's not easy, but I also will say that it's not difficult. It's just what is to be done. It is neutral in and of itself. However, it isn't easy, and a lot of people get frustrated with the practice. However, it's called a practice because you actually have to practice, and anything that one has to practice tends not to be easy. It's simple, but it's not easy. And mindfulness is not a quick fix. It's not a quick fix. It's not as though, if you start today, that everything will be well tomorrow. It's a lifetime journey. It's something that, you engage in over and over and over. It's never ending. It's not like, oh, I'm going to get to this level of it or anything like that. There's nowhere to go with it. It's just, again, something that we would like to bring into our lives in order to reap the benefits of it. And it doesn't happen overnight, and there really isn't any goal or destination. And that's important too, because many educators are pretty driven and action oriented. You know, we like to see results and measurements and things like that. Whereas in mindfulness, there isn't any of that. There isn't any of that. And so it's just a day-to-day daily practice to where you're not looking to level up, if you will. You're simply looking to engage. So the next thought is, do we want to be mindful, meaning full of so many thoughts at once, or mindful, which means that we are simply experiencing the life as it is happening and not always thinking of so many different things, or as one popular phrase is the monkey mind. Our monkey mind is always going. For mindfulness, we don't want to be mindful, because that's where the stress and overwhelm comes in, with our minds full of all of these concerns. We want to be mindful, which means to just simply be aware of them. That is one thing to focus on as we move forward. The second thing to focus on is mindlessness. Mindlessness is the opposite of mindfulness. Mindlessness simply means that we rush through our activities without truly being attentive to them. And I know that that's difficult, because in this world of constant distraction, you know, where we're multitasking, you're doing something, yet you're thinking about doing something else. So before you even finish doing the thing you're doing, you're already sort of doing something else and forgetting about whatever else you were doing. I know that even as a lifelong practitioner at this point of mindfulness, that I still struggle with these things. And it's sort of just indicative of our times. And that's why the practice of mindfulness is so important, because we have so much more calling for our attention at all times, all the time. Mindlessness can mean breaking, spilling things, not really focusing on whatever we're doing. So we're making careless errors when we're doing things because our attention is focused on something else. It's also failing to notice subtle feelings or other physical tension or feelings of discomfort that we may be experiencing ourselves, because again, our thoughts and our activities are always just going and going and going. And so we're not paying attention. And if you notice the repetition of the word attention, that'll be one of the topics that we cover a little bit more as we move throughout the month. But it all has to do with attention and failing to pay attention to various things in our lives. Mindlessness is also finding ourselves preoccupied with thoughts of the future or thoughts of the past. And that's also another portion that we will talk about much more in depth. And one of my favorites to talk about, because it's one one area that I also struggle with, is snacking, or feeling the need to eat without being aware of your true feelings, like if you're really hungry or not. And that's all a part of mindlessness too, because then we're not paying attention to what we're really feeling, but trying to do something to address whatever emotion that we're feeling that really doesn't assuage the issue, the real issue. The good news is that mindfulness, true mindfulness, is available in every moment. It's available at every time, every moment, through practices as simple as taking the time to pause and to breathe. So it's not something that we have to study. It's not something that we have to take years in order to learn about before we can apply it. We can do it right now, right here, at any given time of the day, simply through its core practice, which is pausing and just taking a breath. And that's the theory that I'm going to share with you today in session 1, the theory on breath. So why am I going to talk about this? Because breath is so important. Breathing is so important. It's so important that Thankfully, we do it without having to think about it, because if we did have to think about it, we wouldn't be doing it as well. And that is evidenced by the fact that we don't have to think about it, and we don't do it that well because we don't think about it. Seldom do we really pause to think about how we're breathing. And if you do pause to think about how you're breathing, you would notice that oftentimes we're not fully breathing. We breathe in a very shallow sort of surface way, unless we make a conscious attempt to truly expand our lungs and to really bring in more breath and to expel more breath. Breathing, just the simple act of breathing, inhaling and exhaling, has so many benefits to our body. Breathing decreases stress. It regulates our levels of cortisol, which we know that cortisol is the stress hormone. Cortisol also results in having a lot more fat on our body. So we definitely want to try to regulate that. Breathing helps to strengthen our immunity, because it also affects our autonomic nervous system when we fully breathe and oxygenate. It also can help us reduce pain. And it reduces the activation of some of those pain centers in our brain. There's a lot of evidence on breathing and the powerful benefits of truly breathing. When we breathe deeply or practice deep breathing, it decreases anxiety. Studies also show that it decreases depression. It increases our happiness and our optimism. It can improve our sleep. It strengthens our ability to regulate our emotions. And then once we can regulate them and we become aware of them, we can also make other wonderful changes in our lives as well. And breathing also helps to reduce impulsivity and the desire to just act without really thinking about it. Breathing is the single most important act that we do every day. We all know that it's very difficult to hold your breath. So to go without breathing for 3 minutes, or even less for folks who are not well conditioned, which means that it's something that is essential for us. And so we really should pay much more attention to it. There's a body of research that shows that breathing may also be the secret to health in so many other ways. So in the essence of time, I'll share those points with you, and you'll have to take my word for it at this juncture that deep breathing is really good for us, as it has many beneficial effects on us. So now that we've talked a little bit about the power of breath and of breathing for the theory portion, now I'm going to talk a little bit about the practice for this week. So today is Monday, which means you've already awakened. But this evening, or based on whenever you listen to this or watch this, your practice for tonight and for the rest of the week is mindful awakening. Mindful awakening. So what is that? It's simple. When you wake up in the morning, you want to, before you do anything else, I know that today the impulse is, as soon as you wake up, to reach for your phone, or it's usually reach for your phone. You're not going to do that. So now for this week's practice, instead of reaching for your phone first, when you awaken, and hopefully you can try to do this without waking up to an alarm, because you can do it when you wake up with an alarm, but by the nature of waking up with an alarm, you have to turn the alarm off. So hopefully you'll be able to do it without the alarm. If you are able to just awaken naturally, and then to just notice that you have awakened. So you need to do it fairly quickly, because you are going to practice not allowing your mind to just start going, wherever the mind likes to go. You want to notice that you have awakened. And as soon as you bring that awareness to your conscious level, you are going to bring your attention to your body. Notice your body, feel your body, become aware of your body, feel your body on the bed as you are still in the bed. So you're not moving, you're not doing anything. You're bringing your awareness to the fact that you're up, and that you are awake, and that you are going to bring your attention to your body, noticing your body on the bed. That is going to calm your mind so that you are not thinking about the day ahead just yet, or what you may remember from your dreams. You're bringing your attention to the present moment. Once you've brought your attention to your body, you are going to take 3 to 5 mindful breaths. So 3 to 5 mindful breaths, meaning you are going to breathe in fully through your nose and breathe out fully through your mouth. So you're going to do that 3 to 5 times, noticing your breath, feeling your body on the bed, simply observing whatever thoughts you may have, allowing them to pass if they do, but really trying to bring your attention to only the sensation of your body and the sensation of your breath. And then you are going to set your intentions for the day. So there's a lot that I can say about setting your intentions, but for right now, I'm simply going to say, you want to think about how do you want to be in this day, and then put that out to the universe in whatever ways you do that for yourself. So you're going to, again, wake up, hopefully naturally, without an alarm, not reaching for the phone, not thinking about the day ahead just yet, but bringing your attention to your body, taking 3 to 5 mindful breaths, and then simply setting your intention for the day. How would you like the day to be? What would you like your mindset and your emotional state to be for the day? And then you will get up at that point. So now, before we end, one of the things that we do is to have a brief meditation together. So let's do that right now. I am going to stop sharing my screen at this point. And I am going to lead you through that brief meditation, and then I'll resume my screen again. So as I get prepared to do that, if you are in a space where you can get comfortable, please do that. If not, then you can always return at a later time in order to do the meditation, but hopefully you will be able to participate in that. So let's get into a comfortable position. Preferably for this meditation, if you can be upright, it would be good. However, if you are more comfortable lying down, you can do that too. But this is just a simple breath meditation, so it would be good to be upright so that you can really expand your lungs. So as you get comfortable, you can keep your eyes open, or you can keep them in a soft gaze, lowered and focused on a particular spot. Would like you to seal your lips and just simply breathe in and out through your nose. Taking your time with each breath in and simply breathing naturally. I want you to find a breath pace that reflects all the qualities of calm, patience, spaciousness, and ease. The intention for this meditation is simply to notice the breath. So let's commit to holding our mind's attention on the breath. I'd like you to notice your breath in whatever way it chooses to speak to you. That may be the sound of your breath moving in and out through your nose. It might be the temperature of your breath. It could be a cool breath in, a warm breath out. Or it can be the sensation of your breath. You may be noting how it moves in and out through your nose. Pay attention to the movement of the breath as you inhale and as you exhale. Notice the lift and rise of your chest with each breath in and the release of your shoulders with each breath out. Continue to allow your breath to draw your attention inward in whatever way that may happen for you. Continue to focus on your breath as if it were the most intriguing thing, because it is. As any thoughts arise, keep returning to your intention to notice your breath. All the while, remain open, still, and spacious. Thank yourself for noticing your breath and for engaging in this mindfulness practice by repeating, may I continue to look deeply into my mind, my heart, and my body. May I see things and meet things as they are. And may this clear and sustained knowing free me for the sake of all beings. And let us return our attention to the present. Okay. So that ends our session for today. I hope that you got some benefit out of it. I want to remind you that you are going to be practicing mindful awakening for this week, and that you will be taking note of your body state when you awake. When you awaken, you will be taking 3 to 5 mindful breaths and setting your intentions for the day. So I look forward to hearing about you doing that and how you're implementing it and how it's working out for you next week in session number 2. Until then, have a great week. If you are interested in listening to any other of my meditations, please feel free to look them up on Intentional Educators or Nicolette James on YouTube, or you can simply visit my site. There's a link there to them on educazen.org. Again, it's educazen, educazen.org. It was my pleasure being here with you today, and I hope to see you in session 2.